Hey folks, this is Scott with SimpleSpider.com. Today we're going to be cloning our Oracle 7 instance on VirtualBox. This is a pretty straightforward process to do the clone, but there are a couple extra steps that I need to do after I've cloned the instance. So what I've got here is I've got my Oracle 7 instance installed here, and I've got it shut down. This is my base install. This is the one I keep around all the time to make my copies of before I start a new project. So I'm going to go ahead and choose right click on this, select it, and choose clone. And then it's going to ask me for a name, and I'm going to call this clone spider.com OEL7x64. And it's going to ask me, do I want to reinitialize the Mac? Now, if I'm only using this instance and I'm not going to be using other instances of this cloned, then I don't need to reinitialize the Mac. But if I am using other instances of this clone, multiple different copies, I'm going to reinitialize this. In my case, I'm always going to reinitialize this Mac card, so I always have a unique network address. This is the only thing that we have to be concerned about being unique when we make a clone. So I'm going to go ahead and click reinitialize the MAC address for a network card, and I'm going to go ahead and click next. And it says, do I want a link clone or a snapshot, a portion of a clone, or a full clone? In my case, I want a full clone. This is for testing, and I'm going to have databases versus application servers and things that have no relevance one to the other. So they're going to have very different application sets sitting on top of them. Once I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and click the start button. That went pretty quick. The clone's done. I've got a second instance ready to go. The issue that I'm going to have is that my network is not going to work instantly for me. So that's what we're going to go in here and configure right now. We're going to get the network working correctly. While this is booting up, I'm just going to come over here to my base copy, and I'm going to go ahead and click Settings, and I'm going to go down to Network, and I'm going to choose the Advanced Settings. Here we're going to see a MAC address. This is the MAC address that's for this instance. We'll see that it's 5C11D3 are the last 6 characters of this. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to right click on this instance, my cloned instance, and I'm going to go down here, and we're going to see that when I cloned it, that I get a new MAC address. And this is what it was saying when it said reinitialize my MAC address. Now the problem with this is it's given me a new MAC address for the VirtualBox manager, but on my Linux system internally it doesn't know this new MAC address. So when the network comes up, it's going to say the old MAC address is what's there, and it doesn't match this, so it's not going to know where to hook up to. So when we come in here, the only configuration change we need to make to get this going is that MAC address. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And I'm going to do an IP ADR. And I'm going to see, hey, where is my address? I have the loopback, but I don't have an address configured. And that's simply because my MAC address does not match on the virtual machine to this instance. So I'm going to go ahead and do a vi etc/sysconfig /network-scripts/ifcfg e, and in this case it's enp0s3. And once I've done this, I'm going to open this file up, and VI is my text editor, so I'm going to go ahead and open this file up, and I'm going to see here the hardware address is 0800275C11D3. Now that's the original hardware address, and it's trying to start up this hardware address. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to choose I for insert, and I'm going to go ahead and back out these last 6 characters. It's almost always going to be these last 6 characters. The first 6 characters are going to be the same when it clones a MAC address, and it's going to give you a unique set of 6 characters here at the end. I'm going to come up here, and we can see here the 080800 are the same. 0027 is the same, but here's where it's different, is where it files here at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and type in E3:A. So this is the hardware address format. The MAC address here just shows is all straightforward characters. We do need to put the semicolons, or the colons, sorry, in between every 2 characters here. So now we'll see I have E3, E3, A3, A3, EA. So I have the same hardware address as my MAC address for this virtual machine. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the escape button to save this file, colon, exclamation point, WQ, and that's going to go ahead and save this file. Oops, sorry. Said that backwards. Escape WQ, exclamation point, will get me to save the file. And I'm going to restart the network. So if you're used to Linux 6, in Linux 7 there's a couple differences here. It starts to use system CTL as its controller. If you use the service command to restart your network, it will restart, but it'll forward your command to system control. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and type in system CTL restart network, and it's complete. And I'll go ahead and say IP ADDR space ADDR, and we'll see now I have a dynamically assigned address through my DHCP server that MAC card is now working. We can see that MAC address here, up here, that it's assigned the MAC address here, and we can see the network address here that it's dynamically given it. And that's it. Now I've got my clone ready to go, and I can start doing my installations from here. There is one other setting that you may want to go in here and configure, and that's your host name. So by default, if I say host name here, it's the host name that I originally gave this machine. This has nothing to do with the virtual manager itself. This is purely inside this Linux instance. If I want to go ahead and change that, I'll do a vi etc host name, and you'll see here's the name. So I called this box clone simple spider. Again, I'd call it whatever I want when I actually do this, but for this testing case I called it clone. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape, colon, WQ, exclamation point. That's going to save it, and I'm going to reboot this instance, and when I reboot it, the new name should show up on the server. And we see here now, we can see right away that here's the name is now clone for this server. If I sign into the box, I'll be able to see that. Oh, missed the pass. Just type the password there. So let me just try typing that in again. All right, one more time. Okay. We'll see here that if I type in the command host name, I'll be able to see that there's the new host name, and if I type in IPADDR, I'll see that here is my IP address and it's correctly configured now. So that's it. That's all I need to do to clone a new instance. Makes it very quick for us to come up. Once you get this little 2 steps down, it makes it very quick for me to bring up a new instance, a copy of a very standardized instance that I've built one time, and I can replicate it as many times as I need to install databases, application servers, or whatever installations I'm going about testing. Okay, thanks.